It wouldn't be fitting to cage the new 560 horsepower RS7 on roads with unjust speed limits. So when Audi invited us to Germany to drive it and tour the facility that makes it, we couldn't say no.
So this is it. This is the 560 horsepower Audi RS7, and this is our first look at it. But before we get to driving it, we're going to take it to the facility at Quattro GmbH, the customer delivery process, and all the cool displays they have here. So this is what makes the 560 horsepower. It's a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 with the turbos in the V. It's a hot V engine, but it also has 516 pound-feet of torque, if this graph down here is to be believed, from 1,750 RPM to 5,500 RPM. It's incredible. It looks like it's been drawn with a straight edge. So this is the sport differential. This is what does the actual mechanical torque vectoring. A lot of people are simulating these days through ABS. Power comes through here from the transmission, and there's a bunch of gears in here, and through some magic that we know as physics, it can make one wheel spin faster than the other, and vice versa, to help the car rotate. And here we see the available brake choices for the RS7. This is the standard brake. It's what they call a wave design, and by shaving out these little edges here, so you see that on some motorcycles, they were able to take about 6.5 pounds total out of each car. This is a carbon ceramic that is, of course, much bigger and lighter. It takes a total of about 22 pounds out of the car, which is great until you put on 21-inch wheels and offset the whole thing.
Surrounding the neat technical displays are highlights from Audi's motorsports successes and technology, as well as the customer delivery center, where eager buyers await the arrival of their finished car. We could spend a lot of time here, but we have something more pressing we need to get to.
Of course, when you have a fast German sedan with this much power and you're in Germany, the first thing you want to do is try the Autobahn. So we've got our trusty GoPro here to look at the speed, and we've got a little bit of rain, which is probably going to slow us down, unfortunately, but we'll see what we can do. And away we go. Well, we certainly have horsepower and torque, and we have them in very, very large quantities. I've noticed, though, from the few times that I've had an opening on the freeway and I've gotten into the boost, this engine delivers power very enthusiastically, and it makes very nice sounds when you do it, too. We have a sport exhaust option that's set in the dynamic mode, so that gives you a nice deep rumble when you get on it. And when you lift or when you downshift, you get these nice backfires from the exhaust. Let's see if we can make that happen now. Oh. Yep, there it is. Yep. Yep. We've driven this engine in the S8, and there it was nuts. Here you have it with more power, more torque, I think, and it's just even more incredible. That it's also bolted to a very good-looking sedan is a nice thing, too. People do respect the car. People do get out of your way. And that's pretty cool when you have a big sedan making all this power. People definitely make an effort to let you through. But unfortunately, you hit enough congestion and you're just done. Move, be out, be gone. The past few years, maybe the past decade, has shown that Audi can build some absolutely insane powertrains, and this twin-turbo 4-liter only reinforces that fact. It's just insane.
You can't fully appreciate this engine without seeing it in the metal and running at full speed. and that's exactly what we did at Quattro. There, the team ran an example of a 4-liter on the dyno at redline until its exhaust glowed a bright orange. The compactness of this 4-liter is deceiving. You would never guess this engine is capable of 560 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. It's an absolute powerhouse. It even eclipses Audi's 5.2-liter V10 in both horsepower and torque. Of course, there is a car wrapped around this engine, and some backcountry roads should show how well it drives.
It's fast. This RS7 is hilariously fast. That is the only real descriptor I can throw at it right now. And I'm realizing the joy of driving it quickly comes from seeing how long you can stay on the throttle around corners. With such a ridiculous engine, you find yourself entering corners irresponsibly fast, and you get some understeer out of the car because the speeds are so high. But when you come out of corners, it's just nice getting into that surge of torque. Man, it's horsepower and torque is a wonderful thing. They are wonderful things. This being a modern Audi, it has a number of lightweight technologies in its construction. Its body has some steel in it, but it's a lot of aluminum too. We got to see the chassis itself at the factory, and it looks very nice. The overall size of the vehicle is hard to get over though, because even if you're using lightweight aluminum, you still have to use a lot of aluminum, and so the car does end up weighing over 4,000 pounds, I think 4,300, and you sense that, you notice that. It feels like a heavy, substantial car. There's a lot of car here. Horsepower notwithstanding. It doesn't have the lightness and the control of a sports car, but there is something to be said about the way a big, fast German sedan crushes a road like a sledgehammer. Okay, steering. Not a lot of feel through the wheel itself. I get more of the road through the impacts from this rather stiff suspension. The weighting is nice, but it doesn't really feel like it's tied to anything. It is precise though. I have no problem steering this car around. And again, we're in dynamic steering, and that's the most aggressive steering setting. The transmission works really well too. I've just left it in sport mode and let the amazing amount of torque figure the rest of it out for me. And we're just reeling in cars on this road. Coming back to the weight and the power, it does make me very happy that we have a very capable brake package. We're on the carbon ceramic rotors in this car. Pedal feel is really nice. It's really easy to modulate the stopping power, and they always seem to supply more than enough braking force than you think you'll need. Styling. The RS7, I think, looks absolutely fantastic. The details in the body and this matte gray paint give it this really aggressive look that's very eye-catching, as we've experienced so far. I love the audacity of putting the Quattro logo in the fascia in big letters. I think that's really cool, because if there is a performance sub-brand of an automaker that needs more awareness, it definitely is Quattro. People don't know that that is the equivalent, essentially, of AMG and BMW's M in some respects. So I love that that's on the front bumper of this car, and the grille of this car. The RS7 as a whole, I think, is a really cool car and a really interesting car. It's this sort of new, fast style of vehicle that isn't a sports car. It definitely isn't light, it isn't delicate, it doesn't have that sort of precision, but it's incredibly fast and still fun to drive in its own way, similar to what we can expect for the BMW M6 Grand Coupe and the CLS AMG. It's a really interesting group of cars that have a lot of personality and a very distinct way of driving fast down a road.
Over 500 miles of German country roads and Autobahn, you gain an appreciation for the RS7, for its large size and vast torque delivery, and for the comfort and steadiness that maintain as speeds ever increase. Happier on the open straights than on the tight and curvy, the RS7 offered excellent behavior on the highways and easy passing power on two-lane roads. But we couldn't leave Germany without one last Autobahn blast.
It is apparently vacation seasoning. Vacation seasoning. It's the best kind of seasoning for your steak. A little bit of paprika. That's right. For some reason, you can drive like a complete asshole here, and it just feels appropriate. Like, yeah, I've got horsepower. Get out of my way. People do it. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, we're still hauling ass.
Oh yeah, sure.
We're just not hauling like all the ass.
We're hauling some ass.
We're hauling we're hauling like a bit of ass.
A little bit of ass.
Like, we're moving, but we're not like, we want the whole ass to be hauled.